Story 1. I always detested going camping. My parents forced me to endure summer camp each year in Colorado, including a mandatory camping trip into the woods. Those brief excursions always filled me with resentment. The heavy backpack, the lack of toilets, and the spiders invading my tent made it unbearable. However, when I turned 16 and became a camp counselor, my perspective momentarily shifted. At that age, we were only a few years older than the oldest campers, but we were granted considerable freedom. While most nights we had to stay in the cabins with our campers, rumors circulated that the camping trip was a time for the counselors in training to let loose, drinking, smoking, and fooling around once everyone else fell asleep. Little did I know that the events of that particular camping trip would forever dissuade me from venturing into the woods again. The trip commenced like any other, with around 30 people participating. There were 4 counselors in training, 4 counselors, and approximately 20 boys and girls aged 13 to 14. We trekked in a single file line, traversing various trails. The chatter and laughter of the campers drowned out the sounds of nature. After several hours, we trudged through a dense, marshy region and ascended a steep incline adorned with evergreens and aspens. Due to my lack of athleticism, I found myself at the back of the line with another counselor in training named Jordan and 2 struggling campers, engaged in conversation. Our distraction caused us to fall farther behind until the last of the campers disappeared from view around a bend approximately 15 feet ahead. Unfazed, we continued walking at a sluggish pace. However, after half an hour or so, the trail leveled off and a growing unease settled upon me. Not only had the rest of the group vanished ahead, but we had also entered an eerie stretch filled with dead evergreens. Some trees appeared scorched by a wildfire, while others had succumbed to disease. The landscape's eeriness peaked with the sight of a rundown cabin situated amidst the scorched forest, miraculously untouched by the fire that had swept through the area. Captivated by this scene, one of the campers screamed when a twig snapped behind us. Jordan and I chuckled, but our laughter died when we turned to investigate the source of the sound. About 20 feet behind us stood a haggard-looking man. His disheveled mass of black hair and long black beard matched his weary appearance. With eyes fixed upon us, he slowly ascended the trail. He lacked hiking gear, and we had no idea how long he had been trailing behind us. Jordan turned around and asked him to repeat himself. Although the man had followed the same trail, he remained stationary, watching us as we disappeared from his view. Finally catching up with the rest of the group, who had been waiting for us, we recounted the encounter with the adult supervisor. They shrugged it off, suggesting the man likely resided in the cabin and was merely curious about our presence on his property. Nevertheless, despite the supervisor's dismissal, I couldn't shake off the unease brought on by the encounter. As we reached the campsite, a lingering feeling persisted that the man had somehow followed us. Nonetheless, I pushed these thoughts aside and managed to enjoy myself, momentarily forgetting the eerie incident. Nightfall arrived, and everyone else had retired to their tents. Jordan, another counselor in training, and I decided to venture into the woods a bit to smoke, carrying 2 stolen warm drinks from the counselor's quarters to avoid getting caught. We reached the edge of the river where we had washed our pots and pans earlier in the day. The spot was eerily silent, amplifying my uneasiness. The man from earlier kept resurfacing in my mind. After some time, we returned to our tents, which were pitched slightly away from the others. Discreetly sipping on our drinks, we exchanged scary camping stories, deepening the atmosphere of the night. As moments passed, one of the boys halted his muddled story abruptly. Silence enveloped us, broken only by faint footsteps crunching on pine needles around 40 feet away, near one of the other campers' tents. We strained our ears, attempting to decipher the source of the noise. Soon, the sound ceased, although we presumed it was just another camper heading to the bathroom. Our heightened senses, combined with the lingering effects of the scary stories, prompted us to call it a night. We retreated to our tents, consumed by trepidation. I was jolted awake in the dead of night by the distinct sound of footsteps outside my tent. Adrenaline surged through my veins as I lay as still as possible, desperately quieting my breathing. From the sound, it became apparent that someone was merely a few feet away from the front of my tent, pacing back and forth. Instinctively, I turned to wake Jordan, only to discover he wasn't beside me. Relief washed over me, assuming he was the one I had been hearing. Convinced it was Jordan, I closed my eyes and began drifting back to sleep when I heard the tent zipper being undone. Suddenly, I felt Jordan lying down next to me. His arms enveloped me, and I began to relax. On the brink of falling asleep again, the urge to use the bathroom hit me. I muttered something about needing to go, unzipping my sleeping bag. Annoyed by the noise, Jordan lazily turned over, pulling his hoodie over his head before falling motionless once more. I slipped on my shoes, cautiously making my way across the campsite to the designated restroom area. However, as I arrived and readied myself to use the facilities, rustling noises emanated from the campsite. It sounded as if someone were rummaging through our supplies and bags. Still slightly intoxicated, I hurriedly pulled up my pants, losing my balance and inadvertently grabbing a branch that snapped loudly. My heart raced as I attempted to regain composure, only to witness a figure making its way toward me from across the campsite. In an instant, a blinding light from a flashlight illuminated me, growing larger as the figure approached. Frozen and consumed by panic, I braced myself. As the light drew closer, I heard Jordan's voice saying, "Sorry, it's just me." A wave of relief washed over me, but confusion settled in as Jordan asked me if I had seen his blue hoodie. He suspected one of the campers had stolen it from his bag while he was sleeping. Struggling to comprehend, I managed to stutter out, "But you were just wearing it when you got back in the tent." Confusion filled the air as Jordan denied my statement, insisting that the hoodie had been missing since we returned from the river. He even went back to check if he had left it there by accident, but it was nowhere to be found. He mentioned rummaging through the boys' bags, and that's when he noticed me. The realization struck me like a bolt of lightning. The person who had entered the tent with me moments ago wasn't Jordan. Fear gripped my entire being as I relayed this revelation to him. Sensing that something was gravely wrong, Jordan insisted on returning to the tent to investigate. Slowly and cautiously, we made our way back to our tent, hearts pounding in our chests. When Jordan flicked on his flashlight and shone it through the nylon lining, a high-pitched scream escaped his lips. We both beheld a clear outline of a man's shadow, lying motionless inside our tent. Without hesitation, we sprinted toward the cluster of tents where the older counselors slept. Frantically unzipping their tent, we pleaded with them to come out, shouting about the intruder in our tent. Panic set in as our counselor, groggy from sleep, gradually comprehended the severity of the situation. As a commotion ensued, we heard the counselors radioing the camp to call the police. The palpable fear in their voices mirrored our own. Sleep eluded us for the remainder of the night, the darkness amplifying our unease. Fortunately, dawn arrived, casting its gentle light upon the camp. Within a few hours, additional counselors armed themselves with guns to escort us back to the main campsite. On our descent, one of the campers stumbled upon Jordan's hoodie, tied around a tree along the path like some eerie marker. He refused to take it back, and we left it there, a chilling reminder of the events that had unfolded. To this day, I cannot say with certainty whether the man in the tent was the same person we encountered earlier on the trail. Nevertheless, his haunting face and the harrowing night we experienced remain etched in my memory. The camping trip that was once a source of disdain and unease had transformed into a terrifying ordeal, forever dissuading me from venturing into the woods again. The repercussions of that night extended beyond our own camp. The incident prompted increased security measures at the camp, with heightened awareness of potential dangers and stricter protocols for counselor training. The tranquility and innocence of the camp had been shattered, replaced by an enduring sense of vulnerability and caution. For me, the horror story of that camping trip didn't end with our escape. It left an indelible mark on my psyche, a reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the most unexpected places. Story 2. It was early spring in 2016, and I had just turned 24 years old. My friend and I had reached our favorite camping spot, the Black Canyon Rim Campgrounds, just outside of Payson, Arizona. We loved coming out here 2 or 3 times each year due to the incredible views and its proximity to the city. The area was mostly secluded, with a privately owned convenience store a few miles away and a small town 20 miles before that. The entrance to the campgrounds was off a dirt road directly off the highway, marked by a campground sign providing information on local wildlife, fire hazards, and camping-related news. The trail was mostly linear, with only one fork spanning several miles. On a previous trip, we had ventured down the dirt road to explore. One path led to another highway entrance with a ranger's tower halfway there, while the other led to a dead end. Along the latter path, a few miles in, we had stumbled upon an abandoned cabin hidden behind some foliage. As we arrived, the snow had mostly cleared, leaving behind crisp air, a slight chill, and the reawakening of fauna. It was truly the perfect time of year for a relaxing getaway from the city. On this particular trip, we arrived around 4 p.m. on a Tuesday, later than usual. We typically aim to be there by noon, but this time it was a spontaneous decision due to our work schedules. The sun was setting fast, and we still hadn't chosen our camping spot. There were only 2 other groups, both families, parked somewhat close to the entrance, just a few hundred yards away from the highway. However, this time we wanted to get away from humans and the demands of our customer service jobs. We drove past our usual spot and found a small clearing hanging off the edge of a hill, offering a breathtaking view of the entire valley and a beautiful sunset. This would have become our go-to spot if it weren't for the incident that occurred the following night. We decided to forego building a tent and instead focused on getting a campfire going. Given the limited time we had and the relative comfort of our car, we thought it would suffice. I would sleep in the back while my friend took the passenger seat. With the window slightly ajar, we had a few blankets each and settled in for a peaceful slumber. The next day passed uneventfully as we decompressed and enjoyed the tranquility of nature. However, throughout the day, I had this strange feeling that we were being watched. There were intermittent sounds of leaves crunching just out of sight, but I dismissed them as the local wildlife going about their business. My friend didn't notice anything unusual, so I didn't dwell on it. Nightfall arrived, but the unsettling feeling remained. My friend, sensing something was off, took some sleeping pills, which she usually didn't need during our camping trips. The natural ambience of nature was usually enough to lull us to sleep, or so I thought. It was nearing 1 a.m. when my friend dozed off in the passenger seat while I attempted to wind down in the back. Leaning against the window, legs outstretched toward the car's back door, I scrolled through social media on my phone. That's when I heard it, a few crunches of fallen leaves from outside the car. I whispered to my friend, asking if she had heard it, but she was already fast asleep. I put my phone down and listened intently for a minute or two, but there was silence. I reasoned that it was probably just a small animal exploring the campsite, so I resumed scrolling through social media. About 10 minutes had passed when I heard the sound again, this time right outside the car door. I lowered my phone and strained my eyes to see into the dark woods. As I turned the phone away from me, its light illuminated the window near my feet. The image that appeared in that window is forever etched in my mind. 2 grimy, scab-covered hands clung to the window, their long, unkempt nails wrapping around the car frame. Behind the window, a shadowy face pressed against the glass. Each breath created condensation, leaving intermittent foggy patches. The only discernible feature was a reflection of those empty, black eyes staring back at me. I was paralyzed with fear. I couldn't move, couldn't scream. It felt like an eternity as we engaged in a silent, chilling staring contest. Thoughts raced through my mind, each one more terrifying than the last. Why hadn't they run away when they realized I had noticed them? What were they planning? Was this the face of death? After what felt like an agonizingly long time, the hands slowly released their grip on the window and retreated into the darkness. The condensation dissipated, and a few seconds later, I heard the sound of footsteps fading away, their rhythm blending with the night. Still in shock, I sat there, unable to comprehend what had just transpired. Why hadn't I done anything? Why was I still frozen in place? It was as if my body had forgotten how to respond to danger. But in that moment, a surge of adrenaline jolted through me. I pounded on the front seat, awakening my friend from her slumber. She groggily asked what was happening, but I could only manage to utter, "We gotta go. There's someone out there." Without wasting a moment, I unlatched and kicked open the back door, scanning the area frantically. Whoever or whatever it was had vanished. In a panic, I hurriedly gathered any important camping supplies we had left outside, cramming everything into the back seat and trunk of the car. I kept glancing over my shoulder, listening for any sign of those ominous footsteps. With everything hastily thrown inside, I slammed the back door shut, and there they were, a haunting reminder of the horror we had just experienced. 2 handprints, imprinted on the back window, served as chilling evidence of the presence that had violated our peace. Driven by desperation, I quickly wiped them off the window, as if erasing them could somehow erase the memory. I jumped into the front seat, started the car, and accelerated out of there, my friend finally fully awake and demanding an explanation. As we sped down the dirt road, my friend pleaded for me to slow down, and eventually I complied. We reached the highway and continued driving for about 20 miles until we arrived at a nearby Denny's. There, my friend insisted that we stop to eat and for me to explain everything that had transpired. Over a meal, we recounted the nightmarish encounter, trying to make sense of the terrifying events. In the months that followed, the intensity of the experience gradually subsided, but the embarrassment I felt for my initial paralysis lingered. I frequently questioned my own fight or flight instinct, unsure of why I had been rendered motionless in the face of danger. I often found myself pondering the identity of the presence that had tormented us that night. Was it merely a mischievous camper playing a cruel prank? Or perhaps a resident of the abandoned cabin down the dirt road seeking to disturb lone campers? Or, in the darkest corners of my mind, I couldn't help but wonder if it was something more paranormal, a malevolent entity lurking in the forest, observing unsuspecting campers as they drifted off to sleep. Despite the harrowing experience, we continued to go camping in the years that followed. However, we never strayed too far from the safety of the highway. The incident had left a lasting impact on us, and we were constantly on guard during our subsequent trips. I couldn't shake off the nagging question, who or what was out there that night? The thought gnawed at me, fueling my curiosity and trepidation. Was it a one-time occurrence, or were there more sinister forces at play in those woods? We took extra precautions during our subsequent camping adventures. We made sure to camp closer to other groups seeking comfort in numbers. We invested in better camping gear, including a sturdy tent that provided an added sense of security. We even carried self-defense items, just in case. As time passed, the memory of that fateful night began to fade, overshadowed by new experiences and the passage of time. But deep down, a part of me wondered if we had merely brushed against the surface of something much darker and more inexplicable. We heard stories from other campers about strange occurrences in the area, whispers of eerie figures sighted in the depths of the woods, unexplained sounds echoing through the night, and an unsettling presence that seemed to linger in the air. Some even claim to have seen apparitions or encountered paranormal phenomena during their own camping trips. These tales fueled my fascination with the supernatural, leading me down a rabbit hole of research into local legends, ghost stories, and unexplained phenomena. I delved into books, forums, and online communities, seeking answers to the questions that plagued my mind. Could there be a connection between these stories and what we had experienced? However, no matter how much information I gathered, I couldn't find a definitive answer. The lines between reality and superstition blurred, leaving me with a mix of skepticism and a lingering sense of unease. As the years went by, our camping trips continued, albeit with a newfound vigilance. We shared our story with fellow campers, warning them to be cautious and stay alert. Some dismissed our encounter as a product of our imagination, while others listened intently, sharing their own spine-chilling encounters in return. There were nights when the shadows danced and every rustle in the bushes sent shivers down our spines. But we persevered, finding solace in the beauty of nature and the camaraderie of fellow outdoor enthusiasts. Though I hoped to put that terrifying night behind me, the memory resurfaced every now and then, especially during the quiet moments around the campfire. I would gaze into the crackling flames, contemplating the enigma that had unfolded on that fateful night. In the end, we may never know the true nature of what we encountered. It remains a haunting mystery, etched into our memories and forever shaping our perception of the world. And while we continued to venture into the great outdoors, we always carried with us a healthy respect for the unknown, a reminder that the line between safety and the lurking terrors of the night can be a fragile one. So, as we set up camp on those starlit nights, our eyes scanned the shadows, our ears attuned to every rustle, and our hearts prepared for whatever secrets the wilderness held. For in those depths, where the veil between reality and the supernatural grows thin, the true essence of the unknown lies in wait, ready to reveal itself to those who dare to venture into the darkness. Story 3. My brother, 2 years my senior, and I have shared countless hours in the woods, from building forts and BMX tracks to LRPing and hunting. Since 2016, we've embarked on adventures across the US, exploring caves, canyons, and camping spots, hunting mule deer and wild boar. Having him by my side instilled a sense of fearlessness within me. But this time, something felt different. It was a haunting experience that stained my memory. In 2019, both in our mid-20s, we planned a hunting trip together. It was my 5th time hunting in that area, but the first time I brought my brother along. The vast forest, located on public land, was traversed by a few county roads that stretched for miles. We loaded our tents, 3 in total, into my trunk, one for each of us and another for changing and storing our gear. Setting up camp a couple of miles from the truck, we journeyed deep into the trail, far from civilization. The nearest main road was 8 to 10 miles away. We arrived late at night, quickly set up camp, and fell asleep, exhausted from the long trip. The next day was spent scouting and tracking, and as night fell, we returned to camp, cooked our meals, had a few beers, and prepared for a restful night. Everything had been normal until that point. However, in the middle of the night, I was abruptly awakened by the sound of something hitting my tent. I heard my brother's voice calling my name, and I knew something was amiss. I responded to him, and he swiftly unzipped my tent and entered. I could sense his unease when I asked him what was wrong. He urgently grabbed my shoulder and gestured for silence. The sun had yet to rise, and it was around 4:30 or 5 a.m. We sat inside my tent, bewildered by the perplexing noises we heard. To this day, I struggle to describe them accurately. They resembled whale sounds, hair-splitting, varying tones that reverberated throughout our bodies. The sounds would come and go, with only brief moments of silence in between. They ranged from high-pitched squeals to thunderous, ground-shaking roars. Regrettably, I didn't think to record the phenomenon, as the surreal nature of the experience left me dumbfounded. The sounds persisted until daybreak started to cast its light. I estimate it lasted for about an hour, although the passage of time became hazy. We sat in silence, enveloped by an energy I could palpably feel, as if my body was immersed in a field of white noise. Soon after the noises ceased, rain began to fall, a sudden, intense thunderstorm unlike anything I had ever witnessed while camping. The forecast hadn't predicted any rain during our trip, but nature had other plans. The downpour lashed our campsite relentlessly. The stakes securing our tents and gear were violently ripped from the ground. Even the stakes driven in with considerable force using an axe were dislodged. My brother dismissed the incident, attributing it to machinery being dragged nearby. His explanation seemed odd considering the late hour and our remote location, far from any communities or industrial activity that could explain such an occurrence. To this day, my brother refuses to discuss the events, dismissing them as insignificant. However, for me, they remain etched in my memory as an unexplained phenomenon. It was a night when the boundaries between reality and the inexplicable blurred, leaving us with more questions than answers. The experience served as a reminder that even in the vastness of nature, there are forces and mysteries that elude our understanding. And as we continue to venture into the unknown, we must acknowledge that there are realms beyond our comprehension, lurking in the shadows of the natural world. Despite my brother's reluctance to delve into the details of that fateful night, I couldn't shake the lingering sense of unease. It haunted me, driving me to seek answers, to unravel the enigma that had tainted our otherwise harmonious connection with the wilderness. I delved into research, scouring books and online forums, desperate to find any semblance of explanation for what had transpired. In my quest for understanding, I stumbled upon obscure tales and legends of the land we had visited. Whispers of ancient spirits, ethereal creatures, and supernatural occurrences danced across the pages, each tale offering a potential glimpse into the inexplicable phenomenon we had encountered. These accounts spoke of otherworldly sounds that echoed through the night, awakening dormant forces that defied rationality. One particular legend caught my attention, an ancient Native American folktale that recounted the existence of a spectral guardian, a being said to inhabit the depths of the forest we had ventured into. According to the tale, this spirit, known as Neshoba, possessed the ability to communicate through haunting, otherworldly sounds, transcending human comprehension. Could it be that we had inadvertently stumbled upon the domain of Neshoba? Was the unsettling symphony we heard a desperate attempt by the guardian of the woods to communicate or warn us of an impending danger? Armed with newfound purpose, I returned to the very site where the inexplicable sounds had shattered the tranquility of our camping trip. Equipped with recording devices and a deep curiosity tinged with trepidation, I vowed to uncover the truth that lay hidden beneath the surface. Night after night, I sat in the darkness, waiting for the ethereal melodies to resurface. The woods became my sanctuary, and the nocturnal creatures my companions. It was during one such vigil that I finally captured a fragment of the haunting symphony. The recording served as both validation and a chilling reminder of the enigma that had consumed me. As I shared the recording with experts and enthusiasts, theories emerged. Some proposed scientific explanations, an echo phenomenon caused by geological formations, atmospheric conditions, or even the migration patterns of wildlife. Others embraced the supernatural, suggesting the presence of interdimensional beings or ancient spirits entwined with the land itself. Yet, despite the multitude of hypotheses, no definitive answer emerged. The mystery endured, entwined within the fabric of our shared experience. My brother, ever the pragmatist, chose to distance himself from the inquiry, seeking solace in the simplicity of mundane explanations. But for me, the yearning to comprehend the incomprehensible persisted, an insatiable thirst that refused to be quenched. In the years that followed, I dedicated myself to unraveling the secrets of that haunting night. I traveled far and wide, consulting experts, studying folklore, and venturing into the most remote corners of the world, seeking echoes of our inexplicable encounter. Each new revelation fueled my determination, leading me down uncharted paths and into the abyss of the unknown. And while the ultimate truth eluded me, I found solace in the journey itself. The pursuit of understanding transformed me, expanding the horizons of my perception and instilling within me a profound respect for the intricate tapestry of the natural world. To this day, my brother and I carry the weight of that haunting experience, forever bound by the enigma that permeated that eerie night. It serves as a constant reminder that there are forces beyond our comprehension, a reminder that the world we perceive is but a fraction of a vast and enigmatic reality. So, we continue to explore, to seek the hidden, and to embrace the mysteries that lie beyond our grasp. Our shared experiences in the woods have taken on a new dimension, a deeper connection with the unknown, a willingness to embrace the inexplicable, and a profound respect for the delicate balance between the seen and unseen. Together, my brother and I have ventured into uncharted territories, traversing ancient forests, scaling rugged mountains, and delving into the depths of hidden caves. We've encountered eerie apparitions, witnessed inexplicable phenomena, and crossed paths with enigmatic beings that defy conventional explanation. As we immersed ourselves in the dense foliage, a sense of reverence enveloped us. The air grew heavy with anticipation, and an ethereal energy permeated the atmosphere. It was in this mystical realm that we stumbled upon an ancient stone circle, an enigmatic structure crafted by unknown hands. Intricate symbols adorned the weathered stones, hinting at a forgotten language or arcane rituals. As we stepped into the circle, a palpable shift occurred, as if the veil between worlds grew thin, allowing glimpses of something beyond. Silent whispers swirled around us, carried by unseen forces. Shadows danced with an otherworldly grace, and a chorus of whispers echoed through the trees. Goosebumps prickled our skin, and a profound sense of being watched settled upon us. The ancient guardians of the forest seemed to observe our every move, their presence both comforting and disquieting. In the midst of this profound connection to the spiritual realm, we discovered remnants of an age-old manuscript, an artifact that held the secrets of the forest and its mystical inhabitants. Its fragile pages, adorned with faded ink and illustrations, revealed cryptic rituals and incantations that spoke of a delicate harmony between humanity and the natural world. Driven by our insatiable curiosity, we immersed ourselves in the wisdom of the manuscript, uncovering ancient knowledge that had long been forgotten. We learned to navigate the realms between the physical and the ethereal, to communicate with beings that exist beyond our comprehension. through rigorous training and unwavering dedication. We honed our senses, tapping into the hidden currents of the supernatural. Guided by the teachings of the manuscript, we embarked on perilous quests, seeking to restore balance to disrupted ley lines, pacify vengeful spirits, and protect the fragile ecosystems that house elusive creatures. In these endeavors, we encountered friends and allies, fellow seekers of the extraordinary, bound by a shared purpose. Together, we formed a network, a web of individuals connected by an unwavering belief in the unseen. We exchanged stories, shared knowledge, and collaborated on missions that required a delicate touch and a deep understanding of the mystical forces that shape our world. Our collective experiences wove a tapestry of wonder and awe, challenging the boundaries of human understanding. As the years passed, our endeavors expanded, and our influence reached far beyond the confines of our own experiences. We established sanctuaries for endangered creatures, guarded ancient relics, and preserved sacred sites. Our actions aimed to protect the delicate balance between the known and unknown, ensuring that future generations could explore the mysteries that lay hidden within the folds of reality. And so, our journey continues, a perpetual quest for enlightenment, an unyielding pursuit of the extraordinary. We have come to realize that the world is not divided into realms of the mundane and the mystical, but rather an intricate tapestry where both coexist, intertwined in a dance of secrets and revelations. My brother and I remain steadfast in our commitment to unraveling the enigmas that surround us. We embrace the darkness that lurks in the shadows, for within it lies the potential for profound discovery. We march forward, guided by our insatiable curiosity, and our unbreakable bond, ready to face whatever mysteries lie ahead. For in the depths of the unknown, there is a symphony of secrets waiting to be heard, a symphony that whispers of ancient truths and beckons us to explore the limitless possibilities of our existence.